Hello.
Hi.
So I got a couple questions for you. I've always been fascinated with you. I've always wanted to interview you. I've always been impressed with the way you do business. So you have been in multiple businesses, but right now you're focused on workwear, and you own 3 separate stores, 3 separate locations. I guess, how did you become so confident and strong in your belief in yourself?
Years of business experience, and there's always pitfalls in business. Every once in a while, you're going to feel like, this is it. What am I going to do? But if you let yourself think too hard into that, instead of thinking, what should I do? What's the next adventure? How can we get out of this and be profitable? Because there's a lot of things that go on in the oil and gas industry, and my business is quite dependent on that. So you have to be flexible, you have to be able to pivot, and you have to have a mindset, what's next?
Tell me about your first business that you were involved in.
My first businesses, I was in retail, and I owned a bridal salon, and I owned a liquor store. And I was in both of those ventures for over 20 years, and then I sold them both after my late husband died. And I was a widow for a number of years, and then I married my present husband, and he was Direct Workwear. We decided Direct Workwear was the way to go, and that's what we did.
A lot of sites here in Fort McMurray, there's a lot of women working out there driving equipment or whatever. The issue is that the coveralls that they typically get are just smaller versions of men's coveralls. And to your point, even our own brand, Oil and Gas World and Oil Sandstrong brands, when a woman wants to buy a hoodie, I just tell her a smaller hoodie of a man's hoodie. So
but it's not.
It's not, you're right.
One size doesn't fit all.
No, you're right. So tell me about Womens Workwear.
Well, I've been working on Womens Workwear actually for 15 years. And it's hard to get companies engaged in the beginning to cut patterns because they knew it's for a smaller group of people. They're not going to get the volume cuts out of that, so they're not going to make as much money. And that's why we call it the pink tax, when the women's things cost more than the men's, but they're the same thing, just cut.
It's just cut different.
Exactly. But it matters, because fit matters. And if a woman is going to work in a pair of men's coveralls, and let's say she's a curvy woman, she's probably wearing 2 sizes too big, the crotch is too long, it's hanging between her knees, and she's a hazard on site. She can't move as quickly, she can't do her job properly. The return on your investment of buying proper fitting garments for women is huge. You don't have accidents, you don't have people taking as much time off. There's also health issues with wearing coveralls that don't fit you properly, and it just starts from there. But the companies have to be ready to do it.
So if I'm, say, a woman and I'm getting a job at site, I can come see you and I could get the proper garment.
Because let's think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's say that a woman actually comes in and buys the 2-piece coverall. What does that mean for her? That means that she has a quicker turnaround when she goes to the bathroom. She doesn't have to take everything down. If she's in the safety business or EMT, her sleeves aren't compromised because they touched the floor.
Yeah.
She doesn't need a brand new pair of coveralls before she can do a urine test for somebody.
Yeah.
There's all these elements that make them better employees, happier employees.
Because you're thinking about it, guys, when they pee, they don't need to take off their coveralls. They just unzip and they stand up to pee.
And much easier when you're out in the woods and there's nothing.
Yeah.
And you're a surveyor and you're a woman and it's a situation. I went to a safety thing in Fort Saskatchewan. And it was run by a mature woman, and she had all these young girls, and everybody was having a good time until she said, "Are you girls willing to wear Depends to work?" Silence.
Yeah.
And the girls are looking around and they're going, "Well, there's no washrooms where you're going. What are you going to do?" And that's when I said to myself, I'm going to make something.
Back to Women's Workwear.
Well, boots are an issue too.
Tell me about boots.
I mean, the boots, most of our boots we have made specifically for women now, because a woman's foot is so much different than a man's foot. And you can't even consider that she's going to be comfortable in those men's boots. And women have been wearing men's boots for a long time. It's just maybe the last 5 years that you've even seen any women's boots. You might pay a little bit more, but you're going to look after your boots. You're going to be good to your boots. You're going to clean your boots once in a while. Get the time out of them.
What else is different? Like some boots, gloves?
Everything. Gloves aren't perfect yet. We have a few manufacturers that make women's gloves, but the digits are still too long on most of them. And they just say, oh, we're going to make gloves down to extra small, and that's going to fit a women's hand. Well, no, not really, because some of us, our hands are wider from working, but we still have short digits. So it has to be a woman's glove. That's what works. And because if you're working on site and there's so many requirements, cut resistant, TPR, all these things, we have to get proper gloves for women. It's just the thing. I mean, hard hats, men and women share the same things.
Okay.
But safety vests, women need their own. The curve's different. And we sell a lot of UL certified FR garments. Our FR garments have all been tested, and we make sure that it's the proper ratings for whatever the job is the person's doing. Because different companies have different requirements and different trades have different requirements.
What do you say to somebody who is opening a business right now?
Have enough money in the bank so you can survive for a while, because you're not going to make money right off the get-go. You have at least 3 years of putting your heart and soul into it before it even comes back to you. And you have to give up some of your time. It's not, oh, I own a business. I'm going to have a holiday. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do that. No, you're not. You're going to work.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you're going to be successful. But the one thing I should say, don't forget the family. Because the minute you do that, then you can become so in your business that you don't see what's going on around you. And by the time you look back,
Too late.
you missed all the good stuff.